right, my beautiful geekables, it's time. It's time for John Wick Chapter 4, Behind the Scenes. Because I've been waiting to watch this. I'm very excited about this, and I want to see, because I'm really excited about this movie. So I was on a journey recently, if you don't know, that I decided the other, 2 weekends ago, to catch up on all the movies, because I was very behind in all the movies. And now that I know about all the movies, I'm obsessed. So Chapter 4 is coming. And I've seen some clips, and I've seen the trailer, and now I want to see behind the scenes. So Oliver's with me, you're with me, let's go.
Chad really hooked into this idea of trying to study
John
Wick through the situations of other characters, and he was really drawn to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so enter Donnie Yen as Kane, and Shamir Anderson as the tracker.
Ours was, okay, well, if any one doesn't get to this one moment, everybody loses. They were all three different people all going, and they all had a point, you know? So that's fun about, and that fits into our Wiccan world where there are no good guys, period. There's just better bad guys.
There's just better bad guys.
Wick is not a technically good guy. He's an assassin. He's living in this world. He just happens to have a code in this world that we feel attracted to. So doing that structure of good, the bad, the ugly with different perspectives, and you add in, the character of the Marquis, Bill Skarsgård's character, who's literally is the only person.
Those cards were yet? Those metal cards?
It's kind of fun.
We have Hiroyuki Sanada, who I worked with on 47 Ronin. He has a daughter who's working with him, and that's the incomparable Rina Sawayama. And then the antagonist of the piece, the Marquis. Bill Skarsgård. You're kind of following their stories as they're trying to get John Wick, and Kane and John Wick have a past. Tracker is kind of a younger character who's kind of outside of it, who's not an assassin, but then
it's like a dance.
Kind of takes a deal to force to become an assassin, and these characters come after John, and then there's moments where we have to work together against the table. So that dynamic is a way of opening up the world. Who are these other characters that exist in this world?
It's beautifully choreographed.
And then how do they interact with John, and how does John interact with them?
I'd say first and foremost, I love working with Keanu Reeves. I think he's one of the best creative collaborative partners I could have ever wanted, let alone imagined. Keanu and I, every time
plays an
it's the
assassin.
last one, we're not going to do it again. We'll see what happens. Then we go on a press tour. It seems like every time at the Imperial Hotel in Tokyo, we'll sit around having a few drinks in their Scotch bar, and we're like, "Ooh, that was a good one. Good thing, glad it's done. Glad it's done. Yeah, great. I got an idea." And it starts that way, and it starts with an idea on a napkin. And I honestly, at the end of it, I like the world. John Wick has elements of things in it that I grew up watching. It has a sensibility of a Western, of a samurai movie, of a wuxia kung fu film. It has an underworld side. It has
green
mythology.
Screen thing on his finger.
Car chases, what other franchise can you put? 70 styles car chases, attack dogs, samurais, ninja. I don't know. So it didn't exist, and then we got to make it exist.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Derek Kolstad had these assassins come into this house to attack John Wick, and once John Wick took care of business, brought these gold coins, and said, I'd like to make a reservation. It was like, whoa, okay. Well, what can that turn into? What is this other world? At the base of that, too, is Chad's belief that the more kind of ceremony that we can present with the high table is good to elevate them. Because we don't want to show the faces. We don't want to do, here's a table, and there's 12 of them, and they're all sitting.
They all sit together, right?
No, you don't see them. You never see them. But I think we can all relate to the idea of them. And so it's been cool to tap into that personally, and then to put it into the art, and then have that as this kind of overarching thing, and then have a character seeking a kind of liberation from that.
He's trying to be free.
I applaud him for being able to continue to work in the action genre as hard as he does. Keanu's physicality in these movies is staggering. The amount of stamina that is required.
It is.
The amount of just sheer kind of energy to do even half of what he's required to do has got to be punishing. He said something really, really kind of telling to me, which he said, I haven't spoken in 15 weeks.
I told you he's got like 4 lines.
He's after like an Eastwood kind of vibe, you know?
The training went longer than 3 months, and it was 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. So it was a 2-hour morning session, lunch, 2-hour afternoon session. And for me, it's just been awesome to work with these stunt people and just have what they shared with us was the affection that they have for the John Wick films. Because John Wick action is a little different. It's a lot. Because Chad wants reality, he wants Rex, he wants it to feel real. He wants the beautiful violence. And so do we, and so do they. But all of these people have just really taken care of me.
John Wick fights are known for Keanu doing most of it and for being long.
He does most of the
wide
stunts.
lenses.
It's crazy.
It has a very specific style, and I wanted to honor that style. I didn't want it to become this cutty, edity, shaky cam, something suddenly different. I wanted to really live in that John Wick world.
Slid on honeys.
And to do that, you had to have
bow and arrow.
Keanu Reeves doing the stuff.
I mean, we're very lucky with Keanu and what he brings to the table. This is the 4th John Wick film, so way back in the day, going back to the first John Wick, that style of martial arts and John Wick choreography, we were training Keanu up in that. So now we're in the 4th iteration. It has evolved, but we still have the basis going back to the team.
You fell right into the foam.
That did the first John Wick film, the second John Wick film, and the third John Wick. We've built up those layers of choreography with Keanu, and Keanu's dedication. He's one of the first ones in, one of the last ones out. He will come in, blood, sweat, and tears, like leaves it on the mat every day.
Mad respect.
I'm sure you've seen it. We'll probably cut to some footage, but he is dedicated to that role, and he lives and breathes that role when he's doing it. He embodies John Wick when he's there, and his uncompromising vision too, and his dedication to training means that it means a lot for us because we can train him in a style, and then on the day when things change, we know that he has the ability to do those moves and adapt to that style because we're constantly teaching him different levels of choreography.
Keanu he lives up to everything you've heard about him. Obviously, he's just such a nice guy. I remember coming to the set, and he was doing action, fighting all day, and he decides to offer me his seat. I'm like, you're here fighting all night. You take the seat, Keanu. I'm just visiting for 1 hour. It'll be fine. That's the kind of guy he is, right? He's just such a nice guy. And I think one of the reasons that John Wick works so much is because he's this badass assassin, but when that guy is inhabited by Keanu, he just, he could play Ted Bundy and you're going to root for him.
I have never met anybody in the film industry, even with my 40 years of working with so many Chinese
the way this man moves,
action directors, that I can truly say that someone like Chad can understand what I'm trying to express. It's that whole Asian culture and Western culture, even when I'm back home, I'm with my most comfortable environment with my colleagues, Asian filmmakers. They don't understand me as much as Chad does. And that's a compliment to him. And I told him that, throughout our dinners, I said, it's very interesting that you understand where I'm coming from. And I understand where he's coming from. Seldom you find that kind of connection.
Chad is literally one of the greatest choreographers of our generation. And he revolutionized. He was there for the Matrixes and everything like that. He got to see that forefront of that change from the Hong Kong style, from the Western kind of old school ballroomy brawl fights and everything like that. And he was part of transitioning that change to a more realistic fight approach to Western cinema, which really enhanced, Western cinema.
I try to rip off from the best. Like, let's start with that.
So
you try to rip something off. You're trying to go, this guy idea, I'm gonna make good, the bad, the ugly, and then it starts morphing. And if you give the idea enough room and enough slack, it starts morphing and morphing and morphing and morphing. The trick is not to try and put a suit on that doesn't fit. So there's a lot of things that, boy, I would have loved to steal from Sergio Leone and Wong Kar-wai and Tarantino and Kurosawa and all this stuff, but it doesn't really fit. You start there and you go, what I love about it, I'm like, oh my God, that's genius. Then you start realizing, well, the genius is, not just original thought, but it's original application of thought and how you do, and you start letting it loose and
the way she moves too.
You start letting go a little bit. And you start experiencing things in your character, and you start living back in your world and seeing what fits and what doesn't.
When I watched 3, I was amazed by the action sequence in Casablanca because it involved dogs, and I have a dog.
Right.
And she would never listen to me. She hardly sits for me, so I can't imagine how they managed to do that. I'm just impressed by how the action is captured more than anything else, I think, and just the flow of the camera movements going alongside, and it all feels very natural. You feel really part of the action. It's not relying on camera shake and too much. It's really relying on the performance of the actors, so that always struck me.
This is one of those shows where nothing's impossible. I mean, just nothing's impossible. That every women idea that's a good one will be accomplished.
There's a whole prep for every fight scene. In
Like
this
a
case,
suit.
for example,
Classy.
that I'm a martial artist and I have experience in action, then they let me, oh, Marco, what you could do here, like try. Like, for example, Jeremy, that is his fight coordinator, he knows me already, so he knows kind of what I like, my styles, what I can do, what I can't do. So then, and then he asked me, hey, what about this, what about that? And there's like a common like co-creation of, because of the character that I'm playing, maybe, this technique
If you
is
look,
not going to fit
as you're
the
watching, I'm
character
looking at the
as good
distance
as maybe
between.
these other
It's
techniques.
just far
So
enough
then
that
there's
they
a little
won't hit each other,
flexibility on
but
how
close
to
enough
put
that
the
it looks like
fighting,
they're hitting each other.
at the end for
That's
each
talent.
role, each character.
Nunchucks are great
Because I would have gotten kicked in the face.
They're
Let's be
easy.
real.
Usually
Realistic.
you have a stick that you hit somebody with, and now you have two sticks that you can hit somebody with, and it kind of just swings, and it's pretty self-explanatory. The hard thing is when you hit somebody with a nunchuck, it bounces back. So getting Keanu to learn what to do with that transfer of energy when it hits, choreography-wise, we like to do contact hits when possible, but also
So you do
a
like
lot
to
of
do
times
some
we can
contact hits.
we can do picture hits. Just that's not really Chad's style, so being able to put in as many contact hits as we can without it whipping back and hitting Keanu, and being able to get him to control the nunchucks was kind of the big deal. And also, he's not just doing nunchucks, he's doing nunchucks and gun at the same time, and then mixing it with jujitsu at the same time.
Crazy.
So
It's crazy.
It was definitely a learning curve, because it's like, how do you put enough nunchucks to make everybody interested and excited, but not too much where it becomes another nunchuck sequence?
I was thrown into training right away with the 8711 gang, from jiu-jitsu, judo, boxing, Muay Thai, fitness, and on top of that, dog training.
The dog training.
And that was every day from 9
The
to 5.
dog's like, we're
It was
playing.
definitely a process. But
You weren't
thankfully
playing.
for me, I am a physical person. I would consider a fit person, so it wasn't that bad. But I feel like it doesn't matter if you're a Navy SEAL, like that training is next level. But what I love about it is everybody's so
It's taxing
passionate.
on the body.
I
It's
really
got
love
to
the
be.
stunt dogs. I went to meet them. They are amazing.
Oh.
I did not know that they, because I asked them. I saw John Wick 3, and I was like, those dogs are literally incredible. And they told me, the way they do it is with this kind of neon green kind of bit that they put on them. So that's why on set we're not allowed to wear green, because they've literally been trained to attack neon green.
With
They
the actors,
think
it's the same as when we
that's
start with the stunt guys.
smart.
It starts with, very what we call doggy basic school. So the dog's
Just
around,
sitting there.
here's the stunt guy's voice. We start the dog working beside them. We start the stunt guys doing some falling stuff or acting stuff beside the dog. And then we slowly integrate the two together.
That was probably the most time I've spent working with animals in my entire career. And it was definitely a pleasant process, and I will definitely be getting a dog after this movie's done.
When I saw the first movie, which I wasn't in, I enjoyed it so much. I immediately reached out to Keanu. I was like, dude, all of our friends, all the guys that worked on the Matrix pictures, everybody's in the movie. You gotta hook me up. He was like, we've been thinking about you. And so, to get to play a character who is this regal,
That's awesome.
sort of monarch, but his
suit.
kingdom is sort of underneath all of this sort of highly stylized, elegant, sort of chic that's happening, is really it's a nice kind of juxtaposition. So I'm having fun, man. I'm just happy to be here.
The incredible Lawrence Fishburne as the Bowery King, where I had safe harbor. And for me personally, Fish is safe harbor. He's been such a mentor to me since working on
That's
The
his
Matrix.
I love that they're really friends.
1997, so it's
1997.
we had a friendship, and it's cool to be working
was a
with him
teenager.
again. And what he brings to the Bowery King is so special. And who else could be the king?
Donnie Yen is a
Lovely.
legend of action cinema. He's one of the greats, one of the best to ever do it. I had the fortune of working with him once before on Ip Man 4, and I was the bad guy in that, and he gave me a real good kick in. which my character greatly deserved. And it's just a pleasure to work with somebody like that. You're working with people at the top of the game. For me, I do a lot of action films. That's my thing. That's what I'm known for. But if you get to do action in a John Wick movie, that's the highest accolade. This is where it's at right now. In terms of action, there is no better action movie franchise being made at this present time.
No, John Wick's
better than John Wick. And now we're adding to that Donnie Yen.
I agree.
And Shamir Anderson, who's no slouch himself, he's bringing the action in this.
Like,
but Donnie, of course,
seriously,
it goes without
Donnie Yen.
saying that he's one of the greatest to ever do it.
No matter how cool we are and how old we get, we're all competitive, and you all want to see who's full of shit and not. And Donnie is definitely not full of shit. Like, he is phenomenal. He's fucking like an amazing athlete. Amazing. Like, I can't even say I've met so many amazing people in my life, but like the speed at which Donnie can move, memorize, and creatively feel things out, like he knows him very well. Our best choreography team can only enhance him, but they're not gonna, like, he's already better than 99% of choreographers and stunt performers I know. Literally that good.
The way I process the style of the fightings in all my movies, I identify this personality first. It's not about the style. People always ask me, oh, you know, what martial arts style you want this? But to me, it doesn't matter, right? To me, it's how this person reacts, it's how this character reacts. Is he a little bit jumpy?
He embodies
is he
the
a little
character.
bit calm? Is he a little bit like, for example, this guy, he's family man, introvert, calm, walk slow, talk slow. Therefore, his movements is very reserved. He only reacts to an outside force. So it's always the character. Once I identify the character, it comes natural for me to have these body movements. If I wanted to use an example to explain to people who's fascinated with my films, and I use music, like jazz. How do I explain to you why am I playing this note, this passage? Because it's my feeling.
Chad was always a solid guy. When I first met him at the age of 25, he was a solid cat. He was a hard worker.
Wow.
He was a good listener. He was a team player, and he was a leader. And he's just grown in all of those capacities. His delight in making movies as a director is the thing
I love
that
Lawrence
appreciate the
Fishburne.
most.
Like, I know I
It's
said
where
that
we sort
before,
of
but I
meet.
do. He's just
He's
like,
extraordinary
he's just
in the
awesome
sense of
in so many
how
ways.
he's grown, how he matriculates
feel when
all
the
of
actors
his
are really good
inspirations and his knowledge and his practicality. So to me, he's the director. He's also got a great hand and ear for script and for production. He knows how movies get made. And here, being on chapter 4, you know, I say these John Wick films for Chad and I are like we prepare a meal. We're the chefs, and he's the head chef. I'm a sous chef, and then we find the ingredients. We're putting it together. And that partnership has been really fun and some of the best creative days for me.
Keanu and I discussed it ad nauseum many, many times. John Wick doesn't know he's in a movie. John Wick believes he is John Wick. And, puts on the suit, he believes he is that guy. Like, that's the anchor. And the cast follows Keanu. They go, well, if he's taking it serious, I'm going to take it serious. And then we make fun of ourselves. It's that simple. Like, that's the only true north we stay by. The rest, that's...
Look what the
goes back
car's
to
on. It's like on this trajectory thing.
Look, if John Wick believes that could happen...
Movement
it's in the
thing.
movie.
I don't know. It's not a technical
Keanu
term.
is always quiet and shy, but he's a hard worker. So really matching for the John Wick character. John Wick has a depth. So that's why it's so believable, and then people want to support him.
We've had such a good time this time. He's got some great stories. He told some great stories the other night. And yeah, man, I mean, he's such an amazing actor. He's just so solid. And to play with somebody like that is, it's always easy, man. It's great.
If you enjoy the world building of the John Wicks, then we have a lot of fun stuff in store. We have new characters, new levels of action for John Wick action, the production design.
She's got
the
3
scale,
arrows in
the
her hand.
scope, a lot of big rooms, high ceilings. We're in Berlin, we're in Paris. We have amazing thespians in costume design. There's other themes that are coming back from all the different
Did you see
versions
him
of
slide
all
and
the
take the
films.
gun?
So there's stuff that you can recognize, and then there's new things. We're trying to cook up a beautiful feast with multiple courses.
I love him.
Some nice wine. So sit back, see it on the big screen, eat some popcorn, and John Wick.
Oh, it's gonna happen. I'm so excited. John Wick Chapter 4, behind the scenes. Wait. I love when he throws the gun. I think it's hilarious. All right, Mayhem, that was a really good edit. Thank you. So that was my Geekables. That was John Wick Chapter 4 behind the scenes. We got to talk to Keanu. We got to talk to Lawrence Fishburne. Lawrence Fishburne. And we've got to talk to Donnie Yen. I am not doing well with my words. Let's try it again. We got to talk to Keanu Reeves. We got to talk to Lawrence Fishburne. And we got to talk to Donnie Yen. Thank you. I had to correct myself there. I was getting all tongue-tied. But it's probably because I'm excited because the movie's coming out. Love it. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Follow along. Let me know what you thought about the behind the scenes. If you're excited. I don't know. What did you thinking about the fact that, do you like the energy between them? I love the energy between them. I think it's great. All right, my Geekables. I'll see you next time. Bye.